CeX. It's time to go back to Derry. As a big fan of horror movies, I was just as excited as everyone else when the first It came out in 2017, and even more excited when it actually turned out to be bloody good. The book is legendary, that old 1990 film version is a cult classic, and Tim Curry is a loved incarnation of Pennywise. It had large boots to fill. But fill them it did, and the film is now not only widely regarded as being pretty great, it's also one of the highest grossing horror movies of all time. So a sequel was inevitable, right? There was a second half of the book to go, the first one did great, and for it they pulled a fantastic cast of names like James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain, playing the grown-up versions of the Losers Club from the first film. They've all been called back to the town of Derry to confront the evil they've bested in the past before it can rise again and continue its rampage. Well, it gets a little bit of rampaging in first. This film makes good on the legacy and does a fantastic job of building some really unbearable tension. It, Pennywise, however you want to refer to the creature, is as frightening as it's always been, and the creators of this film really know how to put this fear to work. I will admit though that sometimes it falls into the pit of relying on jump scares again, but they never feel too cheap as the music kind of lets you know when they're coming, and there's usually something actually frightening waiting for you on the other side of them too. Although this film has scares aplenty, like the first chapter, it uses humour to diffuse the tension when it needs to. Which means that the film is never, soaking in a sense of dread. It's still pretty enjoyable to watch despite the spooks and the tension. And the lead cast are good. They have great chemistry as friends, and it kind of makes you nostalgic for who they used to be in the previous film 2 years ago. But you'll miss the first film for other reasons too. Despite really having the star power to pull a great movie out of this half of the book, Chapter 2 just lacks the heart and depth of the first movie. Maybe the first movie being such a good surprise did more favours for it than I realised, and Chapter 2 might suffer under the heavy expectations. I just found that Chapter 2 didn't seem to hit as hard or as fast as Chapter 1. In fact, I thought the child actors were the more likeable gang, and that is a very rare thing. I'm going to give this film 4 out of 5 stars. I think that Chapter 1 is the superior chapter, but I still recommend you go along and watch this one. There's no reason not to, it's a great film. If, like the rest of the world, you enjoyed It Chapter 1, you're going to love this one too. It is still a pretty scary film too, so if you're not too good with horror movies, maybe wait for the home release and watch it from behind a sofa cushion. What did you think of It Chapter 2? And what chapter did you think was better? Let us know in the comments below. And as usual, for all the latest movies and games, visit us in-store or at webuy.com. See you next time. CeX.